Yo, what up, everyone? Mr. O here. Just hunkering down on a snow day. All right, got some stuff to talk to you about. This is an introduction to Andrew Jackson. Really talking about how he became president. Really focusing in on his presidency and his mark. Really on expanding democracy within the United States. So that's what we'll be talking about here. Um, Basically talking about the first couple of elections that he ran in to become president. So let's talk first about the election of 1824. This election really, Andrew Jackson ends up winning the most popular votes. That really comes to start defining his his presidencies, and his mark on democracy is that he got the common man to vote for him. Um, Really, what ends up happening is he's running against John Quincy Adams and Henry Clay. These are two famous politicians from this time period. But what ends up happening is that because of the way that the electoral votes shook out, there wasn't a defined winner. So what ends up happening is Henry Clay says, you know what, I'll step out of this race. But the reason why he stepped out of the race was to throw his supporters in Congress behind Andrew Jackson's other opponent, John Quincy Adams. And John Quincy Adams said, hey, Henry Clay, if you drop out of this race and you have your supporters vote for me, I'll give you a job as Secretary of State. So that's kind of what ends up happening, and Andrew Jackson loses the first time he runs for president, and what becomes infamously known as the corrupt bargain. And that's what we're talking about here with his first attempt at becoming president. So that's the election of 1824. The thing you want to remember is that it's the corrupt bargain. And that's how he loses the first run he has for president. So then we take a look 4 years later. He's not done. He's up for the election of 1828. The big thing happens here is the shift in democracy that happens. The common man, the people that are simply not the wealthy, but the regular people living within the United States, he gets their support, and democracy is expanded to allow these people to vote for the first time in presidential elections. So he gets the support of the common man. People remember him from the Battle of New Orleans and those kinds of things. So it's really his celebrity is what's getting him a lot of attention. He creates this new political party because he was kind of fed up with the other ones, and he calls it the Democratic Party. And this is the party of democracy and the party of the common man who throw their support behind Andrew Jackson. Really, we're talking about this group of people that's living west of the Appalachian Mountains, Kentucky, Tennessee, people that were farmers out in the western frontiers, what those areas become known as. And really, he promotes, he's highly promoted amongst these regular people living in America's new frontier. And really the number of voters expands immensely. So he's winning millions and millions of votes, which is a new thing in presidential politics. So the last thing we'll talk about here is really the presidency in the beginning of his presidency. Once he wins this election of 1828, Washington, D.C., following this election is just absolutely jam-packed with people. It's like a gigantic festival, and they're celebrating the win of Andrew Jackson and his representation now of this new group of voters known as the common man. And we see this in the history of the inauguration of Andrew Jackson, is that people were walking into the White House trying to meet Andrew Jackson, this guy that is now the figurehead for common people in the United States of America. We'll talk about a couple of things that become known as the spoils system, and later becomes known as the kitchen cabinet. We've got some other videos on that, so be sure to check those out. Talking about giving jobs to your buddies and things like that. That's exactly what Andrew Jackson did. when he got this job of president. So these are things that you want to keep in mind. Take a look at my other videos that go along with this and see how the presidency of Andrew Jackson progresses. So, all right, here's your intro.